Anymore, I'm a horrible moderator. Please,
Hey,
Mike, go ahead.
before it
All
goes
right,
back to two
all right,
Niger,
all
can
right,
we let
all right.
devastating talk?
Everyone, hold on, everyone. Let's hear from Mike, then Nilo take, and then to Niger take.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, what I want to contribute is there's one thing I've noticed when even when what's the icon was there, two those kind of Pan African guys there, you guys mean well for your race. I get it. You mean well for Africa. And when you guys want to discuss advancement of Africa or advancement of Black race, first thing you do is, oh, let's unite Black people. Let's unite people. Now, what you have to understand, if you know nature very well, in nature, you don't unite. You don't put a bunch of hungry animals in a room. They're gonna fight because they're hungry and they're desperate. That's not the first thing you do. You create food and things that's necessary where you take the first law of nature is out of the way before you start doing other things. So when you guys are saying the advancement of the black race, and the first thing you want to do when you know the entire black race is hungry and desperate, and the first thing you want to do is unite them, unity is good, but that's a backward approach. What we have to be preaching is productivity. How can we teach? How can blacks of all respected group become productive? And when you become productive, you take away that hunger factor out of your way. You start producing. You get out of that level of desperation, and then from there you start discussing unity. If you go to poor neighborhood, they fight all day because everybody's poor and desperate. You can't unite poor people. You can't unite people that are desperate. That's first thing we need to understand. Um, if you go among rich, what are they doing? They're not going to be fighting. They're doing popping champagne and discussing deals, and with level head, when they're level headed. What we have to start from is, hey, how can we, as a individual nations or individual group or individual ethnic group, fix your internal unproductive nature or whatever is causing you to be so unproductive, figure it out and become productive people. When you become productive, that's road to power. You need power to be able to have any kind of saying or any uh, uh, relevance in this world. You need power. The Europeans, the Chinese, where all these countries are relevant in the world, it's not because they are kumbayaing or anything like that. It's because they got power. And how do you attain power? When you become productive, you know how to make anything you need, whatever you want to consume. You don't have to depend on anybody. That's power. And others depend on you for what you're producing. That's what they call power. What's the difference between China today and China 30 years ago? China 30 years ago was just China. Today, people need China for something. That's why China can stand and, you know, call it shots. America, all these countries, it's not because they just got guns and things. It's because they are productive. They produce things that people want to consume. So they got power. They can talk to you. They can dictate to you. What we need to focus on is start teaching blacks or figuring out blacks, whether it's one black country or a group or whatever, can figure how to get that productive factor in place where we learn to make things. We learn how to produce, become productive, start from there, whether it's from wherever you come from, to Nigeria, your village, start from there. Figure out to someone in your village, teach people, kids in your village, or scientists, or whoever is gifted in your village, to start learning how
Yeah,
to
but Mike,
do
we
some
don't even have
research.
power. We don't have electricity in Nigeria. We don't even have power. How can we get
Bros,
the other power?
Kaizo, 200 years ago or 300 years ago, white people didn't have electricity. But things that were producing back then, African can't even produce a fraction of it today. With the little electricity you have, what you're doing is just giving excuses, just capping. Oh, I don't have good road. I don't have electricity. That's why I can make toothpick. Come on, I can produce nothing. I can only buy it. Come on, man. We have to learn to be productive. Learn to make things. That's the problem of. That's where we have to start. White man is not stopping you from learning how to use your brain to do something. No one. The one thing I know in this life is that someone cannot take away from you is the ability to use your brain to figure something out. Just sit there and think. No matter how someone hates you or wish you worse, he can't stop you from you thinking. And our problem is we don't think. We don't want to think. We don't want to be intellectually productive. We rather be physical. Anything that has to do with brain work, we don't like to do it. But if it's something that's just physical, like sports, dancing, singing, yeah, because it doesn't require thinking. We just, all you gotta do is shake your body and we just sing and that's it. We're the best at it. We dominate. But anything that comes to, oh, you have to do rigorous thinking, extensive research, sacrificing your time to figure it out. We don't want to do it. We rather sit around and talk about it. We rather get online, get together and talk all day. Yeah, we need to build nuclear bombs. We need to build this. We need to do that. you do not just be talking about building nuclear bomb for the past 5 years. You haven't even started a single research center yet, or asked us to contribute money to a nuclear research center. But you talk about it for the past 5 years. I don't know if for the next 100 years we keep talking. That's when we're going to make it. You get nothing from talking. We have to start thinking and start acting, thinking, and start from where you're from. Don't start waiting for the Jamaicans or the Black Americans to start it, to come to unite with you before you start doing something. Talking about unity all day, so that's the wrong approach. It's not this is not the time to unite black, to be coming around and say we want to hold hands and uniting. It's the wrong time, because it's going to make our situation worse. Because what's going to happen is we're going to end up fighting, because we're a bunch of desperate people. It'd be so easy for a rich country to divide even further. When you start coming together, you're just going to throw fucking the same, just like a bunch of hungry animals, put them together, just throw meat in the middle. They start chopping each other, and then they'll be loyal to that person that possesses the meat. So uniting poor blacks is the wrong time. This is the wrong time. Unity is good, but once you unite us, all it would take is one rich country to throw something there to cause you to start killing each other. And an example can be the countries we have in Africa today. It's more of a unity of a bunch of ethnic groups, isn't it? Those ethnic nations were individual countries before, individual empires, and it wasn't so much animosity among themselves like that, except maybe over territory or farmland, basic things like that. But today, when they came and bring a bunch of ethnic groups together as a country, did it unite them? No. They even hate each other more. A Yoruba, a Igbo person, like Hausa in Nigeria, they see each other more of an enemy than they see the Ashanti person in Ghana or Zulu person in South Africa. Why? Because they're united. They're forced to be united. So this uniting blacks is the wrong approach. Yeah, we should talk to each other and respect each other, learn from each other. But the idea of we have to unite before we grow, that's bullcrap, man. Start from where you are. Productivity is what we need to start rubbing minds about. How can we be productive? Let's unite on that. Not on some kumbaya shit, man. That's what I have to say. Thank you. Sunaja.
Yeah, thank you. Who goes next? I think it's Nilotic. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mike is right. 0 plus 0 is still 0. So if you unite based on nothing, you're still nothing. But just to get back to what Ike said, Ike, it's not that Africans are individualistic, man. Or even tribalist. It's just that Africans cannot form on anything outside of natural formations or natural group formations. So they can unite based on family lines, on ethnic lines, but anything that requires ideology to form, that's not something that they can unite on. So nationalism, which is a form of ideology, they can't unite on that.
NPCs that we can't go against the grain. We can only formulate allegiances to.
Yes. So
no, because even when you think about nationalism,
rather than religion,
Africans don't unite based on religion. What are you on about? You think Africans are
come to Nigeria, you find out.
So basically, yeah, I hear what you're saying to Nigeria, right? But that's not the kind of unification. That's like an emotional unification that is very fleeting and doesn't really have much staying power, right? So
wait,
again,
Tunai, just stop. If Africans were forming based on on religion, why are there so many wars in the Sahel? Why are Somalis fighting one another? Aren't they all Muslims? Shouldn't Islam be uniting them?
Yes,
because in
but
Nigeria they gang up against the Christians.
Let's stay on the point here, right? So let's say you're not going to organize people based on, let's say, okay, I agree, natural formation, great, right? And in order to do something other than that, you need power, right? Externally. In other words, you're going to be like, hey, I'm giving you roads and bread and electricity, so you go along with my program, and they will go along with your program, these particular types of NPCs you just described, right? At least when I see
the gravy train stops.
Exactly,
but you have to admit that's a short-term solution, because growth is not going to be infinite. There's a time where you won't be able to provide them with what they need. And short-term, or let's say you provide them with everything they need for 50 years. In that 51st year, where there's stagnation, the same problems are going to arise.
We might need that 50-year first trip before we find something else, right? Before we're going to have to fly it build the plane as we fly it, right? So the point being, if you're looking at these particular NPCs which you've described, which are not going to unite the way in a nationalistic way, the way it's done in Europe, it's going to be a more chaotic, by definition, right? By definition, a chaotic way of organizing these people. So yes, you might need to have a 30-year plan that flips every 30 years, right? But I think that to Mike's point, there is no such thing as oh, we got to unite first and then something magical happens. Okay. This is a typical, and it's not just a low IQ mistake that people make, it's a typical human error. Most people think that things happen top down. People think that science happens top down. But no, science is tinkering, science is engineering, science is chaos, repeat, check, see what happens, right? Look at what's going on right now with the magnetic thing. Maybe Kaiser, you can remember the word I'm trying to talk about, right? The electrons with no resistance, blah blah blah. That also came up as a result of the way exactly right. The way I'm an engineer, right? So I know how science happens. Science happens through engineering. It's not somebody sitting there, come up with some kind of top-down plan, and then things happen. No, the best things tend to be bottom up. Hence, you need to have, let's say, the roads or the gravy train for people to unite, or a plan or something for this
So we need
later
more
on
LGBT
emergent thing to happen.
rights. We need more LGBT rights in Africa because it's always bottom up.
Uh,
Yeah, but
I,
I'm done.
I think from what I've
Okay.
seen in most nations,
Wait, but
nationalists tend to build nations, and
Wait, one second, Nigel. Let me
yeah,
just shout out
bro.
to
Keizo,
this
you
one. I
notice
want to
I didn't even finish my thing, and two Nigers already jumping in, bro. Are you here to moderate? Are you here to listen to your voice, man?
no, it's okay. I don't have to.
so
One second.
when
Let me
Ike
just
was talking, he didn't have anything to say. But it's
Yeah,
okay.
because I
guys,
was
Keizo,
guys,
go
talking
ahead.
to him. My
guys.
conversation was with him. Did you hear me say two Niger?
Then your time
Okay,
is gone. Then if you are using your time to talk to him,
You
it's
see
up
this
to
guy,
you.
bro.
guys.
Two Niger,
Let's shout out.
you're horrendous.
Can
Bro,
you just
put
stop
your
being
ego.
rude? Oh goodness. See,
Look,
Keizo, what do you have to say?
yeah, let me just shout out to sponsor the show. Shout out to Alexis over there for $1. Shout out to you, sis. Hopefully, your husband doesn't realize all these missing small amount of money, but we appreciate your support. And also, shout out to Color Genesis over there. Let's keep the dust level to a minimum. Okay, that's the first time you actually want to keep the dust low. So, shout out to you. Thank you very much for sponsoring the show. The rest of you Dusties, click the like button, share the videos to all your mothers, WhatsApp, and Telegram groups so that we can get to a wider audience.
Okay, you have 30 seconds. Please round up what you want to say.
Shut up,
Nilotic.
bro. Who you giving 30 seconds to? When have you given a timetable to anyone?
Because you
Bro,
said you
Keizo,
were
man,
talking to
can
somebody.
you please, bro, go get a tampon and stop bleeding all over this panel, bro.
Can you just stop insulting constantly? You said you were talking to
Why
somebody
do you
with
keep taking
your
me down?
time.
What did I say? Bro, stop taking me down and I'll stop insulting you. Stop acting like you're the only dictator on the street. If you've noticed, people come to this panel
You are still
on
talking about other
Keizo's
people, not dealing with
and
your
one man's
issue.
channel. They don't even come here through your.
You see, when you are ready to deal with your own issue, you let me know, then I will let you in because I don't understand why he's busy. You are busy having a go at me. You are the one that said you are talking
Yeah,
to
today
somebody with
you're
your time.
enjoying this power. You're enjoying
Yeah,
this
I
power
don't
too
know,
much.
man. Because he doesn't let anybody talk, and that is not
You're
nice.
enjoying
And
this
the
power
people
too
he
much,
attacks are
Tunisia.
the no, he's attacking Pan Africanists. Now, if we're going to start shouting here, and Ike is going to leave, and people that actually want to contribute positively will leave. So that's not appropriate.
Okay, Abi will behave himself, hopefully, and all that stuff. And Tunisia, you're enjoying the power a bit too much, obviously. But
I
hopefully,
don't
Abi
care.
can.
I don't care about this thing. The guy, he's insulted me. He didn't take it back, and he's come here and he says he's talking to
Oh,
Mike.
no.
That's
Abi
fine.
could
Talk to
monster.
Mike. Then what am I supposed to do? I have to give him time to complete. I gave him time to complete. He's still insulting me. Who is next on the line? I think that you just got in. Mike has spoken.
Can I say something? Can I just say something?
I'm still
You
fully.
guys go.
I think he just came in. Devastating for you. Do you have anything to add to this debate?
Oh yeah. Oh, the new guy. Yeah, it's another guy.
No, no. I was just
What's
talking
good?
about
What's good? Oh,
devastating for you.
yeah. Okay. Can you hear me
Yeah,
now?
go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so yeah, I was going to bring up a point earlier in terms of trying to come to a resolution or at least formulate a realistic developing idea. One issue is that it's difficult to actually point to a working model now on a nationalistic level, even in the states, on a small community, village, or even state level, where you see Pan Africanism. As it is in the United States, Pan Africanism is generally spread throughout. There's not generally one geographical region. So when we look out to other areas, other countries. Um, just like you was mentioned earlier, on the surface, it does look rather chaotic. It does. We do observe a lot of individualism, so it's very difficult to actually be motivated or actually come up and develop working plans if there's not a working model in place now, a working model that has worked in the past. So you still have this lingering and developing stage, going back and forth, trial and error over time. That is, it's naturally going to be exhausting, to various groups. So I think that's one problem. If we can come to a consensus on at what point will we deem this level, whether it's a dollar amount, an asset amount, uh, uh, a sustained, definite, uh, uh, pinpoint areas that we can actually point to and say, hey, once we reach this goal, once we reach this level, then we are deemed successful, and then we can move to the next phase. But if that isn't, you know, etched in stone, written down, or actually being able to observe, then compare, then we're going to be in in the state that we are now. So I think that's one issue, to actually come up and develop what is an actual working model that will work.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think I agree with most of what you said. Just to so that it goes around. Who is next? Doctor, anytime you are free to come in, because so far we've always had to invite you to interject. So I just thought I should state that for the records. Yeah, doctor.
No, I'm fine. I'm listening. That's okay. Thanks.
All right, thank you. That what do you make of I think that came next. What do you make of what you've heard so far?
I was still formulating my thought, but from what Ike says or something like that, I don't know. He said something about power comes from a top down type of thing. It harkens back to a conversation we were previously having about elitism as well and all that kind of stuff. To me, I was highlighting this fact is when you negate the majority, the people that actually build those senses or that make up the base of nationalism or patriotism or something like that, those are the lower down. You understand what I mean? It comes if it's from a bottom down up and all that stuff. Then it's that I don't know what it means. So those people are necessary. You understand what I'm saying, Tunaja? Those people are necessary, and in a way, when it comes to this unity thing, right? I One thing I have noticed is, and it comes from the previous conversation we all had. It's not that these Europeans they actually unite easily. It's just because over time they have built systems upon systems that work and function. And because those systems function, also those systems become cultures as well. You understand what I mean? They built and it works. And because of that, they have trust in their systems and their works. It means trust in their cultures as well. And because of that, that translates to some sense of patriotism, some sense of nationalism. It could be a delusion, but it's a positive delusion that we need and all that kind of stuff. So it translates into something like that. So Africans to unite black people and all that kind of stuff. Like Abby also said the right thing and all that stuff. It's hard to unite Africans because we are divided under many different type of reasons, and we're individualistic to a certain extent. Why? Because we live in an abundant, we lived in a sparse abundance. We grew up in a state where we had abundancy, and we feel like we don't need to come together. There's always room for everybody to make their own piece of something somewhere else in Africa and all that kind of stuff. So at the end of the day, to Niger, it's what it is we are going to have to build systems in place that actually cater to this union, however it's going to be, and all that stuff. Systems in place to cater to that, and we're gonna need to make the system stronger, ever stronger, to the point that people will believe in them. It could be based in military, it could be based in some kind of global solidarity, it could be based in some kind of economic trade benefits or something like that. Either way, we're always gonna need to make them stronger. It could be monetary, we're gonna need to make them stronger. And as strong they become, people start to gain a sense, because they benefit. They start to benefit, and they start to gain a sense of it translates into something else, because it then turns into some kind of culture. You understand what I mean? So it translates into something else, and people start to get that sense that we are these type of people and all that stuff. Some delusional sense of patriotism or something, but it's a positive one. Do you understand, Tunisia? Like, let me suggest to you a system. I've been pushing this idea so many times. It's the last idea I have. How to deal with tribalism. How to deal with tribalism in Africa. Here's the thing. There are so many different tribes in different African regions. Let's take West Africa, for instance. Major tribes in Nigeria with huge populations, big tribes. And from Senegambia, big tribes. Fulanis, Mandinkas, and all that kind of stuff. If we were to build a system in which minority tribes are not oppressed, or because they are in an amalgamation with bigger tribes, so they are being oppressed. If there's a system where we have a higher judicial court rather than the nation state, that integrates both the militaries of the region and then also the economies of the region, the markets and the monetary fiscal policies, all of that stuff, and trade. If that system was to grow and to work properly, you will start to see an integration of people happening and all that kind of stuff. In West Africa, so you will say, for instance, an Igbo wouldn't have to just stay in Nigeria and complain about Fulani. He can take it to a higher court. Do you understand what I'm saying, Tunisia?
Yeah, I think I get to a point what you are saying. I don't think I catch the entire picture. But it looks like you are describing something that happens in different segments or stages. Before then you have them occurring at the higher level in terms of regionally, or am I mistaken?
Yeah, something like that, something that happens at the higher stages. Yes, I'm thinking in terms of regionally at the moment. But what I'm saying ultimately is, if it's to be extended to the Black Americans and that's why it's going to be a system that's based on solidarity. You understand what I mean?
That shit dead, bro. Pan-Africanism is dead. Ain't nothing but some Pan-Bantu opportunism and Caribbean opportunism. That shit ain't gonna happen.
Bring back
Don't worry, I will come to you next, Negro.
You get it? So if it's gonna be a union with Black Americans and Caribbeans, it's gonna have to be a system based on solidarity as well, and that is a strong enough motivator as well. But we need to make people feel a sense of nationalism, feel a sense of patriotism. Can you fucking shut up, you dickhead? You know what I mean? So
this is that. Take it easy. We don't want to be. Yeah, go ahead.
So Tunisia, for people to actually believe in a nation, it actually has to work and all that. So you have to actually put systems in place that works, that translates to become culture. Otherwise, in a state of chaos as we are, the people will remain individualistic in a state of chaos. They will always be competitive. Every man for himself, once against other. Every man will try to get himself. So we need to build systems that actually work. That's what makes a nation state work.
How are you going to build those systems if your leaders in Pan-Africanisms are sellouts?
Let me hold on, El Negro. I see these things can happen in stages while the others are happening. This is not controversial, really. Europeans used to fight each other, then they came together and they had a bigger impact when they had the Berlin Conference. This in the Zionist movement. Their approach to doing these things, they be like-minded people. That's how they approached it. They didn't have to force everybody to join, but it was international, and they were able to pull it off. And they've created one of the most powerful nations in the world today. So
actually, white power isn't that powerful without.
Oh, come on! See, the idea of saying only one side. Abe is insulting people too.
Yeah, sorry. 1 second, Tyrone. Unfortunately, someone. Wait, 1 second, brother. 1 second, Doc. 1 second. Someone donate. Let me just shout out to the sponsor of the show. Unfortunately, Tyrone, for the show you were kicked off. Someone donated $5 Canadian dollars. Shout out to you all. As Faha, my Eritrean brother, he said kick out Tyrone. So shout out to you. Thank you for the donation. Also, shout out to Storyteller for the €2.50 saying mod me. Okay, I modded you. But yeah, let's go ahead. So yeah, sorry Tyrone, you can come back next time. But someone did pay to get you kicked out. So shout out to
Seriously, you kicked him out because somebody paid for that. For that.
yeah, I'm a capitalist, so if someone pays to get someone off the
Oh
screen,
God.
they're off.
I guess you're allowed to do that. I guess you do as you please. I don't know. I don't personally. I'm not sure I subscribe to the idea of somebody
Your
paying to
country.
kick some other person's voice out. The person might have gem to contribute for all you know, but I'm not sure Tyrone is doing that. Who is next? I think. Ah man, I think that guy is left. I guess AY. You came in. I think you are quite lucky. You came in at a time when it was getting to these Nigerian guys' turn. So AY. I don't know whether you've been listening. I guess the idea is about. I think he moved on to how how we dislodge the elites. That's what we're talking about. And I talked about demagoguery, which I still want to understand a little bit more about. Some people say the Mike went on and said, oh, we can't do these things by expecting to unite first. We have to do it individually first. There's some truth in all of them, and all of them can be true at the same time. You can try to be uniting people, coming together as much as possible because it's a good thing to do. It doesn't disadvantage you in any way. You can also do things individually too. I don't understand. People like to think of things as one-sided. All can be true. Please, AY, please go ahead.
Uh, good afternoon, everyone. So, if I understand you correctly, this is the title of the topic you guys are discussing.
And the title was about right now. I think it was changed to "Our Elders: The Reasons for Lack of Industrialization in Africa." I think we'll move on to that. But the originally what we were talking about before, because the stream was changed. So what we were talking about was some of the issues Ike raised when he was submitting earlier on about some of the things we need to dislodge our elites, because the idea was that these our elites right now, they are too Eurocentric, their approach, and it may be completely hopeless to change their minds. So how is the best way to dislodge them? As a matter of fact, Mike, this suggests, sorry, Ike, this suggests that maybe you can use technology and convince them that they too are going to profit from it and all the rest, stuff like that. While I get example of like Russia and France and a few other countries that resorted to violence basically to deal with that problem. So, but what do you think about the best way to convince our elites, or is it to remove them or to work with them to
It's
change the country?
it's kind of funny to me. Why it's funny is so I don't really think they are the problem. Some of them might be part of the problem. And also I don't think the youth are the solution. Probably some youth are part of the solution, to be honest. So what I mean by this statement is even when you give Africa to the youth to run, they're gonna do things differently. So if I push back to my days in university, the experience doing as a member of parliament in university, it was not really good. Like you see the youth, how they are also corrupt, they are not helping the situation. So that's why I'm not a fan of youth. So because even our okay, let me take Nigeria as a case study. Even our politicians you see today, to be honest, I would say 70% of them they got power at
Just
the
to be
right time.
clear, you sidestepped the issue and went for the youth, but it's all good. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, hold on. So I get no, I'll come back there. So like when you look at the our politicians today, majority of them, they were quite young when they got into power. But what do? Nothing. The average age of Nigeria governor, to be honest, is around 42, 45. But there is no success. On the issue of dislodging the elite, I don't think it's a solution because they, some of them are part of the solution. We need to kind of carry them along. I think it's just a matter of who have the capacity. You want to do something different. How are you gonna do it? You know, because there are countries where you see elderly people and the elite, they were able to create a pathway for the country to move forward. So I don't completely agree that we have to dislodge them. I think it's a matter of having um, um,
But
say.
AY,
Three, why the choice of London? This is an indication of, well, for want of a better word, of a neo-colonial mentality. Any major meeting in Nigeria affecting Nigeria affairs, our leaders will jump into the aircraft and they are going to London. It's as if some people are genetically, umbilically tied to the.
you see what I mean? This is a problem. If we you saw Ali Bongo of Gabon
So now, guys,
being
my bad.
inducted into Freemason the French chapter. So these people believe they are part of the European elite. So how do you change that? Can you change your mind when these people are joining secret societies that are European? And some of them are even member of. I don't know whether they are still doing it now. They used to be members of the Privy Council of the United Kingdom. That some people in the UK don't even have access to that Privy Council, and yet Nigerians are member of the Privy Council. So
Yeah. So on that, right? So I think they don't know what they are doing, right? Because it's just like working with the devil. The devil will never give you for free, right? Um, I agree. We need to dissociate ourselves completely from the West and have a country that would be like a standalone in that way. It's just like sometimes when we're discussing issue of the West, like the Russia, evil other, like we should not be looking at working with one, just like subjecting ourselves to any country, any power. But what we can do is to stand alone. I deal with everybody. If we have to deal with India, deal with India. If you have to deal with, it's about interest. If you want to deal with America, go ahead. If you want to deal with Russia, go ahead. If you want to deal with Saudi, go ahead. It's about interest. Because they don't have their mind. It's a matter of what will
well,
benefit.
isn't that what raised the question whether they need to be dislodged? Because these same elites are the ones that sold our people as slaves. They've never really been dislodged.
So
Then they went on to hand over to them.
to Nigeria, why we don't have direct answer to that question is the youth that want to dislodge them. You think some of them are going to be innocent? That's the question you need to ask yourself, because some of them might even come for them to be able to stay in power. They go sell their soul to them, and they do this exactly the same thing we try to protect. That is my whole point. So I don't completely trust even the youth. They take over. What happens next? They are going to be threatened, so they might be scared. But if we have a situation where, I mean, there are evil elites that will come into power that will say, no, we are not going to deal with you. It's not business as usual. We need to change our path. It's not about fighting. It's about disagree with them completely. But the moment you subject yourself to them, then same story. Dislodging them, if that is going to be the solution, I support 100%. So,
I'm hoping to find more examples where this stuff happened.
Let me add something. Let me add something to that. There is something about having more, not necessarily just youthful people, but having more youthful but high level people in places of power. Why? Because they have more vigor to battle. They have not seen so much battles in life that they are so tired of it as well. Elderly people, older people have seen so much battles in life, and they have seen how life goes, that they have built up systems in their head, built up systems, ideas in their head, to the point that they are literally tired, both spiritually and physically tired to battle anymore. These people are not going to lead you anywhere. You always need somebody more strident, more stronger, more self-assured as well, and all that stuff. He's not inexperienced, but we don't choose someone that's inexperienced. We choose somebody that has the bigger. You understand what I mean? That's the
Yeah.
Real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, question for everybody. Do you think, like, knowing that Africans, countries' average population is pretty young, do you think it's more likely the youth population challenge an elder in power or challenge another youth in power? Which are they more likely to challenge?
If you ask me, I would say I don't look at it like that. It could be an elder in power, it could be a youth in power that is challenged.
Exactly,
So
to Niger. That's the right word.
anybody that is in power that represents that's the issue. The anybody that represents the obstacle to the progress of our people should be
Yes. I don't
opposed.
I don't think you're understanding me. Generally, just put a neutral stance, right? Knowing Africa, knowing the culture, do you think it is more likely that a youth challenges another elder or challenges another youth when they're wrong?
Um,
You see what I'm saying? What I'm
it's more
asking?
when you say more likely. I think the youth are more likely, obviously, because the elders tend to be in a higher position. So to be
Okay.
challenged, you tend to be the one that is in a higher position to be challenged. So yes, from that point of view, but I don't think when when the stuff is about to change, you could be an older person removing a youth that is extremely corrupt from office, and then that too can happen. You can be an older person removing a youth that is an apologist to foreign
Yeah,
interest.
I'm not disagreeing. I'm just asking in general. You see? That's all I'm saying. I'm just trying to get,
I agree with you
a
on
straight
that.
up opinion.
Is Pan Africanism practical, or is it just some opportunist scheme by Bantus and Caribbeans?
It's essential.
Tyrone, you're more Pan African than anybody. You always over here. Like I
It's
What
feel
is
like
a
more.
you're
Pan
more Pan
African?
African than
I'm
anybody
not a
here.
Pan
I don't
African.
think I met
You're
him
the most
I'm
before.
Pan
not a Pan
African person
African.
here. He's
I'm a
projecting to be the
realist.
most Pan
Hold
African.
on. I
Is
don't think I
that
met him
no?
before.
I'm
Let's
not.
let's give him time.
Is that
See,
practical, or is it just some opportunism?
it's
Answer the
practical and
question.
it's practical and it's essential
So explain, how is it practical?
because the people,
What
if you work
results
together,
did we
Yo, why does
get out of
somebody
it?
who doesn't care about Pan Africanism
it's
care
practical
if it's
because
practical? This guy's Pan
it
African. He's
has
a
to
So
classic.
happen.
He's
why
a
y'all trying
DL
to
Pan
flee from the
African.
question?
Why is
DL
it
Pan
Why are you
African.
asking the
Elijah,
question
kick
with a
this guy out,
question?
man. Kick this
hold
guy
on,
out.
Answer
Hold on,
the
because I could
hold
just ask him.
hold on.
How is he
Flex,
Pan
He's a
why
African?
we still
DL Pan
triggered?
African.
Tyrone,
Why
because
we
y'all
why
say
is
every
everybody
day
going to
unity, 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 but where's the unity?
kick
why
this
is
idiot
everybody
out?
talking at the same time? Why is everybody going after this guy suddenly? Let's calm down here. This is his time to talk. Everybody has just had their say.
No,
He
let
is
him talk.
talking.
Let
Let's
the
not
Pan
just
African
start
talk.
Exactly.
talking over him. He asked a question, and I was about to answer him, and we just start pouncing on him. I don't know him, so maybe you guys are justified to react the way you are reacting to him, but I don't know him. So please go ahead with your question or
So I asked
statement if you want
you,
to say something.
I said before I got kicked off earlier, how does Pan Africanism work if it's just Bantu and Caribbean opportunism? Like you had it for like years, centuries at most, and all your leaders were like sell out Uncle Toms, and also said that white supremacy isn't all that powerful because it only works with colored compliance. Without colored
Hey,
compliance,
Tyrone.
white supremacy
Tyrone,
ain't
you know
shit.
what? I
You're
agree with
embarrassing black
Tyrone, and guess
Americans.
what?
Wow,
Pan
what?
nativism didn't work either. Pan Native Americanism didn't stop anything.
What
They
is a
got
pan
wiped out,
Native
so that doesn't
Americanism?
help either. So
Pan Native
Pan, that's another one.
Americanism never
Now,
happened. Pan Native
now, what's up,
Americanism
Tyrone?
never happened. Pan Native American. A Native American is a European organization.
Okay,
That,
pan
that, that,
Did
nativism,
you not
pan
know that?
African, pan
That was the
Aboriginal.
Tea
just hold on for a
Party, the
second.
Whig
Why
Party.
why does
Hold on
Aboriginals
for a
care about
second.
Africans?
Hold on for a second. Let me acknowledge
We
Mike
don't
for
really care. Y'all just want to make us a.
Can we calm down? Jesus Christ, what is happening with people here? If we cannot even wait,
So Naija,
please bring back the dusty Indian Tyrone.
Hey,
Uh,
to Niger, it's what they
oh
want to
God,
see. They
thank
want to
you
see
for
the
the
dust.
donation.
They want to see the
Yeah,
dust,
Now
Niger.
we know that y'all
Unfortunately, they
made a
just
tumbleweed, so stop it.
just
let
Now
me
because
answer
let's
they
this
get back to
want.
the
question.
subject. Let's get back to the
Yo,
subject because all
Mike,
Tyrone,
I'm
everybody
coming.
on the
Tyrone,
panel agrees with
Tyrone,
one another.
Tyrone. YouTube
See,
work. YouTube
flex,
works
flex,
based off of
flex.
an algorithm, right? How come he
Tyrone,
always
hold on,
finds
man.
these spaces?
Flex, come on, man. What has Tyrone done to you? It looks like the moment he came on, you won't let him say one word.
I know, right? He's just asking question. That's
What is
it.
that
Just
all
answer
No, no,
about?
no.
question.
He
Don't have to
can.
fight.
No, no, no. He can ask a question.
Maybe
I'm just confused.
Maybe Keizo is right on something. Sometimes you can't let some people just say some words because they just do. I
This
mean,
guy
he's
comes
not
here
getting
every
anywhere, bro.
time
The
and
guy's
he
words are not
disrupts,
getting
man.
anywhere,
Yeah,
bro.
but the
But
viewers
he
have
just
the
asked
right
a
to
question.
decide
Just
who they
answer his
want to. Yeah, he
question.
didn't say anything that
To
Just
is
ask
Niger,
question.
to
I know you
contradictory.
don't
Niger.
like the question, but just answer it. Let me
No,
answer
no,
his
no, no.
question.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. To Niger. I actually agree with Tyrone, but to Niger, you know how to defend everybody. But when I come in and I say something, or somebody comes in and says something to me, you don't know how to defend that. To Niger, you're
I
not
do defend
impartial, man.
you, but
You're not
I don't.
unbiased.
Okay,
Are
fine,
you the
fine.
moderator
If
or
you
are
think
you a
I'm like that,
participant? Yeah.
I try.
Tunaja, let
I
me
don't know.
let
I'm
me
not a
Choose
normal
one.
I don't know what I'm a normal moderator, but
Choose a
the point is
side.
that I try to defend
Moderator
your
okay,
or
own
it's no
right.
need to fight.
participant.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's move on.
Why is
All right.
this guy suddenly hot because this guy said something? I don't understand it. A moment you were calm all this while, then suddenly you just went off because
It's okay, Tunaja. Let's move
Tyrone
on.
came on.
Let me answer Tyrone's
Cause,
question. On what is he asked everybody his question? Let me give you my own answer.
yeah, go ahead.
What is the Pan Africanism? Just to answer him, so that way he doesn't come and be fighting people again. Pan Africanism is not an organization and it's not an institution. It's just individuals' personal belief, and that's it. So individuals have right to believe what they want to believe. If so, there's no need for him to be coming fighting people like, oh, you trying to lead us here, lead us there. No, Pan Africanism is not leadership. It's not any kind of leading anyone or any kind of tangible or anything movement or anything. It's just individuals'
Okay,
ideology. Some
okay.
people
So it's
agree with
a
the
whole lot
ideology,
of
some people
nothing.
don't.
Is that what you're saying, Mike? It's
Hold on,
just
Say it again.
talking on the internet and not
Hold
actually
on, guys. Let
bringing
him talk one at a
something
time.
to the
Say it again.
table. Is that
Say it
what you're
again.
saying?
can I
Oh,
respond
I
to
can't
that?
hear
Can
you
I
because someone
respond?
else is talking
That's
above you. Tonight, who's the other person?
no.
Let him
But
talk,
you
man.
are an anti-Pan-Africanist speaking on
Let me
Pan-Africanism,
answer
and
his.
you
Let him talk.
completely
Let
got
me
it
answer
wrong.
his question,
You
man. We can't all
Okay,
completely
talk at the same
that
time.
misunderstand.
hold
Tonight,
on.
control this
After
thing
Mike
now.
speaks,
Okay,
that you
why
will
is
talk.
everybody getting emotional about
That's what I'm
one
wondering. Like,
simple
chill out.
question? What has Pan Africanism done for Black America or so called Black diaspora in
Okay.
general? What has
All
that
right. Thank you.
done?
Nothing. Are you
Okay.
happy now?
Okay.
Let me answer
Nothing.
his question. God damn it. Chill out. Ah.
Okay, carry on the mic, please.
All right. Okay. I just told you, Pan Africanism is not an organization. It's not an institution. And only an organization or institution can do something for someone. It's just an
But it is
ideology.
an institution, though.
No, it is not. Where is it
It
registered?
is.
Where
It
is it
sprang
registered?
off. Hold on, wait a minute, bro.
Okay.
It sprang off a European ideology, Pan Slavism.
How
No, no,
can
no, no, no,
You
no, no.
can't
We
have
just
you can't
guys,
have
guys,
Pan
guys.
Don't worry.
Africanism
I will let
without
you
the
come in that.
European
Don't
giving
they
you
worry.
are
an ideology.
answering
Wait, wait,
Pan-Africanism
wait,
and they
wait,
don't
wait.
fucking understand it?
Oh my God, man.
It's okay. That you have your
Can me and
chance.
him
Let them
just go
say
for a
their
few minutes
piece.
and then you and him can go after that. Wait,
Mm.
just chill out. I just told you. An organization is something that you have to be registered. It's somewhere. It has a building. It has a structure. Things like that. That's an organization. It has a leadership. It has a. This is not an organization and it's not an institution. So therefore, there's no membership. There's none of that. It's just individual believing in ideology. That's it. An ideology cannot do anything for you. So when you're asking that question, what has this done? What has Pan-Africanism done for this person or that person? How can an ideology do anything for you? An ideology cannot do anything for you. It's only an organization or an institution that can do something for you. So that question needs to die.
All right.
So stop.
So I
Go
want you
ahead.
to read. I want you to read.
We're not Pan African, man. Why you keep trying to force this
We're not
on
going to
us?
read none of your
Nobody
nonsense.
But
said they
what is
were
this?
Pan
What is
African.
the
Let's answer for
conversation?
you.
Is Pan Africanism right? It's in the title, right?
You see, this
Hello.
is why you cannot
Has
What is your
even
point?
everybody
What is your
forgot
point
what the
again?
show's
Go ahead,
about?
Tyrone. Say what you got to say, man.
Okay,
Did
that
I
is
answer your
done
question,
now.
Tyrone? Did I answer your question?
He's
Elijah,
not
this guy
accepting
is
it. He's
No,
useless.
not
that
accepting
didn't
it.
answer my question.
Okay,
This guy is
that
useless.
go ahead, yo. That
Okay,
can we allow that to
who?
deal with it? Can we allow
Mike,
that to deal
he's
with
Elijah,
it?
never satisfied, man. You could say you're not Pan
Tyrone
African.
is
He doesn't
useless to
care.
the conversation.
Well, I want to see
He's
his comeback
useless
on
to
the
the
answer,
conversation. Tyrone
Okay,
is useless to the
that
conversation.
you deal with the question then. Go ahead
All
with what
right,
you wanted to say.
okay. So Pan-Africanism, what is Pan-Africanism and all that stuff, right? Pan-Africanism is a movement similar to the labor movement all across the world that happened in Australia, Europe, America, all around the European world to advocate and stand in solidarity for the labor unions and labor of working peoples. Pan-Africanism is advocating for the freedom and benefit and advantage or rising of Black peoples around the world. And this movement produces different organizations depending on the circumstance in each other country. In Guinea-Bissau,
So
we have
hold on, Darbane, hold on.
Shut the fuck up, you
Stop. I got a question. I got a question.
Shut the fuck up, man. Shut the fuck up.
I got a question, bro. So
let's be civil, man. Let's be civil.
does that include, so with that black thing, does that include people from the Pacific Islands? Does that include the Negrito of Asia? Because why do you limit yourself to just Africa when black is a global thing? Why do you limit? Hold on. Why are you emotional, bro?
Go back to the fucking.
Why are you emotional? Okay, what is the African diaspora? Because all Africans ain't diaspora shit.
Just relax.
Because I asked you, is this unity between?
Shut the fuck up.
Is this unity between? Hold, Darbane, are you gonna keep being emotional? See, this is how dusty Pan Africans are. This is how dusty Pan Africans are. They can't even handle simple questions. Why can't you answer a simple question, bro?
Okay, let's get organized. Let's get organized.
This is a sincere, simple question you have to ask.
Okay, let me answer his question on this behalf.
Yeah, let answer it once and for all. Mike, answer it once and for all.
Wait, God, relax, man.
So is this black supremacy? Is this Bantu supremacy or something?
Tyrone, accept the answer from Mike. Mike, explain.
If I catch you, bro, I will fuck you.
Okay. We've had enough dust now. We've had enough dust.
Let Mike explain. Let Mike explain, and we'll be done.
Stop unmuting yourself, Pan-Africanism this year. I think Mike has already explained. And you like him to explain because you know he's not going to explain the right things.
Chill out, man.
I'm not interested in facetious people here.
So what? This is not being facetious, bro. This is a sincere question.
This guy still talking.
Why are you still talking? You still bitching him?
I don't know why you guys are getting emotional. It's
Mike,
you bitching and moaning like a little pussy.
Mike, you have to understand one thing, man. Mike, man, I'm willing to go back and forth with certain people, but certain people I don't want to go back and forth with. You know what I mean? It just makes out a different
I get it, but then you leave him alone. There's someone that want to deal with him.
Mike, if you want to talk about Pan-African, we can go back and forth. Flex up, we can go back and forth. But an idiot like this brings nothing from me. If I meet this guy in the street,
let's not
you ignore it because he didn't call your name.
No. Can I say something real quick?
Christ, what did he say that was provocative?
No. Can I say something?
My knees on his face, bro. You get me?
But Dad, he didn't say your name. He just came in to express himself. So why
can I say something real quick?
Okay, allow Flex up to say something.
Yeah. I just think that you were saying animosity. I don't really care what anybody's opinion is. I just think that he's coming in with the premise that we're Pan-African, and it's like he's trying to attack points we never made. So I think that's what the problem is. And when Mike gives him an answer where he says it doesn't exist, and it's not an institution, it's nothing like that, he doesn't want to accept Mike's answer. It's like he want to be a dictator and tell Mike he's Pan-African. I don't even think Mike's Pan-African. So it's like his audience is the wrong audience.
Flex up. One, to be Pan-African is nothing to apologize about. That's one.
No,
secondly,
that's not even my point.
No, by implication, that's what I'm saying. And also, let's allow this personally anyway. If I'm to address that point that he made, that whether Pan-African has done anything for the continent, Maybe he hasn't done anything
Tunisia,
that
I
is
know how to
measurable
be
right now,
respectful.
but
Let me finish.
it.
Tunisia, I know how
But
to
you
be
had all this
respectful.
time to this. You were busy exchanging insults.
Because that fucking stupid Black American
Yeah, you started
Indian was
again.
fucking talking.
Okay, go ahead and explain yourself.
Now, Tunisia, listen. Pan-Africanism is a movement similar to the labor movement that occurred in Europe and America and the Australian parts of the world and all that stuff. This movement produces different organizations depending on the challenges and needs of the country. You understand what I'm saying? So most of the time in Black America, it showed. Oh, please mute this guy. In Black America, it showed itself in the civil rights movement. In Africa, it showed itself in the movements of independence and all that kind of stuff. That's what it showed itself.
No,
And
no.
when you look
All
at
right,
these
where's
leaders,
the
they're all
African?
fuck off!
What was
Fuck off!
civil rights
Wait,
leaders?
you get your
I will
chance. Just
kill this
relax
guy.
a minute. Let him
Relax,
I
finish.
will kill this
relax,
guy, bro. I tell you. I'll
relax,
kill this guy.
Why
relax.
are you so triggered by this guy? What is going on here?
No.
Dude, the guy's voice is annoying. Kind of voice.
Tyrone, Tyrone, let me talk to
Some
Tyrone
people
real
like that,
quick.
you need to
Tyrone,
put a knife through their
I want to
brain.
talk to
You need to
Tyrone.
put a knife right through their brain. The brain is
Yo,
useless. You know
Oh
what
my
I'm
let me talk
God!
to
saying?
Tyrone. I
Let's take
actually
it
want to talk
easy.
to this guy. Hold up, let me talk to
Flex
Tyrone.
up. Hold on. Let me say you've already said your piece. See, Pan-Africanism is a useful and essential tool if Africa is ever going to
It's
emerge
being
from wherever they
used,
are.
man.
And the idea that some people think that you have some people maybe grafting with Pan-Africanism is all good, because that is what you should expect. Every aspect of life, you always have people that are practicing it wrong while others who are doing it right.
So
The
now,
important thing is
sorry.
that the need for it is what creates Pan-Africanism. You don't have a choice.
So now,
This idea that people are talking like you have a choice, you can just do it without Pan-Africanism, you can't.
so now,
It's like
sorry
saying
to
Europeans
control.
can
So now,
succeed
sorry.
without NATO
So now,
or
sorry to
anything
control.
that
To
brings them
correct.
together.
Wait. To correct on that. Labor union, labor organization is a registered organization. So that you can point at leadership and people. But Pan-Africanism is not it's not a registered organization or
Actually,
organized
is
organization.
you have the Pan-African Parliament. You
Labor
have this
organization
thing.
is a
Pan-African
They
Parliament
have
movement,
where
not a
registered
fucking
where
organization. A movement.
registered where.
is part of the African Union. I don't understand.
It's a fucking
These
movement.
things are
The labor
essential. You
So,
don't
organization
have a choice.
Darbean, answer my
That's
question.
not the
Where
emotional.
was the
Let him
African
answer.
chapter of the Black Panther Party, or where was Africa during the civil rights movement?
Africa was being colonized.
Pan-Africanism is not African thing.
Africa wasn't colonized. You had Kwame Nkrumah. You had Kwame Nkrumah and John Henry Clark meet each other in Harlem, and John Henry Clark met back up with him in Ghana to do something for Black Americans and Africans together. But when he went over there to Ghana, nothing progressed beyond that, with him just being a glorified tourist. So
Tyrone, what do
how
you
is
want?
Pan-Africanism tangible for the Black community on a global scale?
I don't understand when you say tangible.
Well, isn't it a 10-hour live talking about Pan-Africanism and the benefits that y'all want to do within the continent or people globally, right?
Okay. All right. Let me ask you a question now. Wait. Let me just ask a question. Tyrone, can you define Pan-Africanism so that way we know what we're talking about?
Pan-Africanism is nothing but a spin-off of
definition, your own understanding.
Eurocentrism. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.